Do you remember when you were a teenager and your friends were the centre of your world? Well, during COVID-19, children and teenagers have gone from seeing their friends for 5 to 6 hours a day, right down to none. So, screens are now playing this really vital role in helping your child remain connected to the outside world. My name's Anna, and together with Dr. Daniel Einstein, we're currently providing some guidelines to you to help you develop really healthy patterns of screen time use in your family during this pandemic. In clinical practice, what I'm seeing at the moment is a lot of children, particularly teenagers, feeling really frustrated and feeling really down. They just want to see their friends and spend time with them and hug them and do all of the things that they would normally do with them. They feel a bit like their lives have been ruined. So this isn't surprising, because what we know is that social connection, it protects against the development of depression and other mental health issues, and it also builds our happiness and well-being. So one of the key pieces of advice that I've been giving to families at the moment is the fact that we need to be finding ways to harness and strengthen children's social connections. Firstly, I think families need to be trying to adopt really flexible limits when it comes to using screens for social connections. We know that those social connections are so vital for mental health at the moment, so they're really important and we don't want to be cutting them off. In saying that, spending 5 hours on Zoom talking to a friend isn't healthy either. So as we've really talked about in these videos, it is all about creating balance. So making sure your child has frequent social interactions, but that they're mixing it up with the other activities that are important in their life, like physical health, and making sure there's time limits. I've been working with a lot of teenagers who've been on house party until 2 a.m. in the morning. And unfortunately, that's really going to have a negative impact on mental health. So it's really important that as a family, some limits are placed around socially connecting with friends virtually at bedtime. It's really important that your child can speak to their friends in a private place. When I first meet a child, I often ask them, how do you cope when something goes wrong? And many children, in particular teenagers, say, I talk to one of my friends. So they need to be able to talk openly and honestly with their friends, and they might want to talk about things that they don't want you to hear. Their friends are going to play a really important role in helping them process stress. So really give them privacy unless there have been major breaches of trust in the past. Check in with your child and acknowledge the struggle. It is a really complex thing to go from speaking and connecting with your friends face to face to suddenly doing this in a virtual format. You know, a lot of us as adults are struggling to do it, so it's a really complex thing for a child. Talk to them, understand the struggles that they're having, and make a plan to help. So a lot of the kids I'm working with at the moment only feel comfortable to communicate using text message. Try and encourage your child to use phone or to use video, because they're going to be able to have much more rich and meaningful interactions. In saying that, it's really important to think about the medium that your child is using to connect with their friends. If they're going to use a medium that's likely to cause a dip in their dopamine levels, then you might encourage them to switch to a different technology. So for example, if your child seems to experience a dip in dopamine when they use Snapchat, encourage them to use Zoom instead to speak with their friends. Kids are starting to get bored with speaking online. They're like, it's so boring, I don't even want to do it anymore. So try and sit with your child and help them think really creatively about how they can have meaningful and memorable connections with their friends online. So is that playing Pictionary, playing the guitar together, having a dance party, doing yoga. They're all things to think about. A lot of kids aren't confident, they're fearful of trying to use phone and to use video to connect. So if your child is experiencing a lot of anxiety about doing this, sit with them and use what we call a stepladder approach to build up their confidence with these situations. This involves thinking of a number of challenges that will help them build confidence with speaking on the phone and with using virtual technologies. You might start with a challenge that is quite achievable for the child, so speaking to their grandma on the phone, working all the way up to a task that they find really fearful, like say having a Zoom interaction with their peers. It's really important that at the moment you don't take away your child's social connections as a punishment if they misbehave. These connection opportunities are so important right now to their mental health. So try and move away from doing this. Finally, sexting is a reality of today. So for your teenager, really sit with them and explore their views on sexting and their understanding of how they can have interactions with their friends safely online. In summary, it is so important that we find ways to foster, strengthen and encourage children's social connections at the moment. It's going to protect against the development of mental health issues during this pandemic. So as far as possible, we want to be quite flexible with screen limits for social connections. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested, please have a look at further videos on the DIP website. Also, if you feel like you need some support in implementing screen time changes in your home, please consider joining our WhatsApp support group. Details of that support group are on the DIP website. Thank you.